Good evening, good day, everyone, wherever you may be. We titled this one, I want to recap a little bit of the basics with the diet, as I had mentioned on this Facebook timeline, that it's where we were going to begin with, although many of you already know the importance about the diet. Uh, what has occurred since we last spoke about that, perhaps several years ago, more in depth. What has occurred is more, more are awakening, more has awakened, more are in alignment with knowing the basics. And so, having said that, we reiterate and recap the basics. And the basics are fundamental and are essential. You basically need you need these footstones or foundation, if you will, before you go higher and higher. If you don't have the basics and don't practice such a discipline, the other higher things are not going to have the desired effect, and you will not embody them. So it's important to begin with the basics and clean everything from the bottom up as you go higher and higher. So you can't, spiritual bypassing or what have you. You cannot go from here to there. There is that process, and many that have gone from here to there, it's superficial, it's not embodied, so there's nothing to sustain them, and they'll get rerouted back, if you will, or looped to begin again. And you will, with this ascension, what we call the inner work, is very instrumental before you go further. So again, you cannot jump ahead, and that's the way it is. It is a process, and you are ascending yourself through the process, through the tools and the discipline, and being responsible to your organic physical vessel. And that's what this is for the most part about. The ascension and what I teach is that you are taking your physical organic vessel through the ascension. Your whole entire anatomy, in your internally in your physical vessel, it's all changing as well and reconfiguring, and it has to, because you are evolving. Um, the human souls are evolving, and it's happening internally. So it's very prudent to be very meticulous with your diet, and to keep yourself as optimal as possible at any given time. We're still contending with the outside energetic environment, if you will, with fear and negativity propagated and perpetrated into it. However, you become stronger uh, as you enhance your physical and your energetic body, and also in turn everything is connected. Your consciousness raises higher and higher, then you're able to use your consciousness as a co-creator at more powerfully affecting and contributing to the good reality. So as a co-creator, you need to be refined of the old imprint of the human existence, and of course the lower human emotions that involve fear, because they have to go. They belong to a lower dimension. They do not belong to the fifth dimension. So you need to clear it here, so that you can go there. Without clearing it here, you just don't take these physical vessels forward into that full um, liberation of the soul and into your full multi-dimensional abilities and other gifts. So, hello everyone. I began to ramble in the Ascension space, if you will. Uh, having said this, also I just wrote down a couple things. Uh, One of the reasons why, let's say, I didn't delve right into putting consecutive teachings out on the timelines is that there is the integration period in uh, digesting of the information and the practice that's involved as well. So I had wished to keep it spaced out. For example, several days ago, but I began, let's say about a week ago, to put the importance about the diet out. So ones that are following this teaching step by step, that they're able to apply what I said, get their confirmation and their experience as we go forward, so it can also contribute to the whole, and if you will, uh, a knowledge base for all, as well as we expand this knowledge and integrate it more into the timelines that pervade, rippling it outward. Um, and also, Femke and I anticipate to be in a cottage with very good internet very soon. And over the course of the last several years, as most of you know, my internet has not been the greatest at times. And because of that, it sometimes it makes it difficult to have a live, and sometimes no, don't even begin it if the internet is not strong enough. Having said this, we'll be moving in temporarily into a cottage that has very strong internet, and this will amplify and enhance the engagement with all of you, all of us together as we go forward, and it will present a better space to connect and unite as well through lives, through audio discussions I have on the Telegram channel. I love that because you have interaction with the individuals, and we have a good audio discussion compared, if you will, to live. At this time, I have to look at your questions on a chat that you got to scroll, which is really primitive for I, and it makes it more easier on the Telegram channel that you have the audio discussion. So with that, I had put out a 2 hour long, 10-minute long audio on the diet that we had did on Telegram, and I put that out on this Facebook timeline, so it's shared for all of you had access to listen to a lengthy and pretty detailed information session on the diet in relation to the ascension in the fifth dimension at least. And with that, any questions on that, I would love to answer them here, and also any comments for ones that have begun to test for themselves the diet suggestions that were in there and that I've put out previously. So just looking at a couple more notes there. What it will also elaborate on, currently we are in a somewhat of a higher a holding pattern, and since October 17th something distinctive did happen with reality and the timelines, and most definitely the higher timeline. I don't have all of the details on that yet, other than something enhancing and elevated did occur. And having said that, it's like we are also in a void waiting space here, waiting for, let's say, some current events on the lower timeline to play out. And having said that, we don't engage in any of the fear narratives and fear propaganda that is put there on the lower timeline. We do, and as some of you know, we observe it, and sometimes we go down into that to lift some of our comrades out that are ready, that have had enough of the false lower dimensional movie, and they say, come on, come up here, and then you begin to learn more of what's going on, and keep yourself separate from that energy. Sometimes ones will get sucked into it, and then when you get sucked into it, you got blinders on, and you can become inundated, and you can make yourself very, very sick as well, energetically, and drain yourself. And it's mainly because of where your focus goes that you become disoriented as well. Excuse me. And of course, there's others. Everyone is different, but there is levels and waves where there are the commonalities with ones. So basically, what I have said perhaps a month ago, when we had the bifurcation on September 21 to September 23, that we would be splitting off. There would be a lower timeline which would be chaotic, destructive, much enslavement protocols, suppression that has already begun to proliferate. We know that, but we don't put our focus on that. We keep our focus on the higher timeline because this is the reality we are creating. We're not creating a fear reality. We're actually creating the opposite. So the co-creators put your focus, your intention, and your envisioning and your visions on the new reality. That's what we're here to do. So, and also importantly, with this ascension, with this, we are going up. But let us say before we began more of a full-fledged ascension in linear year 2012, prior to that, we descended. So let's say 1990, 2000, 2012, we were actually energetically descending in space and time. Then that pivotal point between November 18 and 23rd of 2012, that's when it stopped, and then the full ascension began. And with that, so now what we are doing is actually reversing all of the dissension that occurred over here, for millennium to 6,000, 26,000 years, whatever it may be. We are reversing all of that occurs. So as we ascend and go back upwards, we entertain certain events on the past timeline that occurred, but we reconcile and change them to the positive. So we are reversing everything that on this side caused the descension. We are reversing that. And to reverse that, you put your focus on the opposite, positive. And this reverses it, and it is the ascension. So this descension was a disempowering, enslaving more, and suppression, while the ascension is the opposite, empowering, freedom, and abundance, and prosperity, virtue, love, peace, and all of the good things. So over here you could also say this was the fall from grace. And grace is the peace, the compassion, the loving, and sharing. And we're on our way back to do that. And to do that, you need to embody and walk the talk and talk the talk, if you will, of it, so that we constantly put it out in reality, so that we change reality, and that we take us back to the place of peace, love, prosperity, and abundance, and we escape the illusion that was created with, I like to say, the 25,000 years of illusion and fall from grace and the deception. So we know what happened there. We don't need to focus on that. We keep our focus on getting out of here, creating yourself out of the matrix. So each one is a co-creator where you put your focus, your consciousness. This is what dictates reality will be like. So common sense, and again with the basics, is keep your focus on the world that you want. Keep your interest, your incentive, your focus, and your thoughts on the new, free, loving world. That way, you are creating it quicker, and as more of your brothers and sisters and divine comrades unite and do likewise, we get it done quicker. And it begins with one. It begins with each one of you doing all of the things that purify yourself so that you're able to experience a pure space of love, peace, and positivity absent of fear. Alright, so I believe we got some questions in here. I think Brother Terry asked something. Yes, Terry, so you're struggling to find the correct salt. Plant-based salt, Terry. What I suggest, no mineral salt and no Himalayan salt, no Celtic salt. Salt in your diet, typically you get enough from the foods that you eat, that you really don't need any excess, and it's a good idea that you don't. And because again, if you do have excess salt, keep it plant-based. So you can find plant-based salts, Terry. Bamboo is a good salt, and there's also other herbal plant salts. We have some up in the cupboard, which is plant-based, but you can find it. Just look for the alternatives in any of the natural food stores. Bamboo salt is quite expensive, but there is more inexpensive choices. So you can find that. Thank you, Terry, because I had that wrote down to bring up about salt, because we didn't cover that in that to any great degree. We didn't cover it in the 2-hour session we had. And yeah, it's important. So you need to also look at the creation of the salt. So if you're looking at a mineral salt, it was mostly created with the absence of light. It was mostly underground and mined. And this is significant because part of its production coming into being did not readily involve the photonic sun into the crystalline process. So there is the difference. When you eat plant-based salts, that is a photonic crystalline based salt. So its structure is different, and it's more energetically enhanced because it comes from the light, where the mineral salts have a huge, not only a density, they also have an energetic imprint as well, depending on what location they come from. It'll be a geographical negative imprint as well. And I could go very deep into the reasons why, but I'm not yet with that. Perhaps later in as we go along over the month or two, I can go deeper into the specifics, the details, the reasoning, the rationale, the logic, and also the divine truth and the metaphysical truth with, why the substantiation of what I'm saying about the salts. It's better to avoid them, especially if anyone had received any of the medications from the last 3 years as well. Avoid all salt. It's very important that you do. Okay. So, Yana Kekik asks, if we are listening, are we on right higher timeline? Let's say with that, yes, or at least you're connected to it. So where I am here in your awareness, it means one of two things. That yes, you are on it, or you are also on a tributary that connects into it eventually if you're not securely in it. But let's just say you would not be here if you were not part of it. So that's correct. Thank you. Hello, everyone, for visiting. Yeah. So I'll take any questions with this. I'm caught up, so if there's any questions, about your diet and what I've said in that recording, we put it in a YouTube, and it's got a picture of a bear, if you will, on the beginning of it, but it's labeled Ascension Diet, and it's 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and it was posted on my timeline on Facebook. So anyone, just scroll for it if you haven't seen it and you wish to listen to it. And if you can't find it there, send me a private message and let me know. However, do take the time to try to find it, because it's important that I know if you can find it or if you cannot as well. So, if I pronounce this correctly, Sivarajan asks, what about consuming meat in spiritual path? Well, what I say with that, what I teach, no meat, no bird. And everyone needs to realize that you're advancing your physical vessel, and at the most smallest molecular part is where your DNA is at, where it's restranding, reconnecting, advancing, becoming more crystalline at the cellular level. But you also need to understand that the humanoid body that you have, when you digest food, the most minute part of that food that goes into the cells for energy is the actual DNA. And to keep it simple, you don't want DNA of an animal, of another life form that has that is another soul, if you will, into that mixture when your vessel is transfiguring and enhancing your DNA. Because during the process of enhancing your DNA, there is fragments that are no longer required that come out into the cell. But that is a two-way process as well. Because if you look at and can accept that the restructuring and rewiring of DNA takes energy, then it is taking the energy source in your cell that was created from eating meat. So if you're eating meat and bird, what you're actually putting in is that energy is already energized to something lesser than what you're becoming. you need to realize that the animals and the birds are not crystalline. You are going to a crystalline-based organism that allows you to vibrate in a different reality with your physical vessel. So at the biochemical level, there is just so much involved in here. And for I to keep it simple, what Father says and what I know, no meat, no bird. Just don't do it. Have a plant-based diet. You can eat fish, if you will, that just lays eggs and swims away, that doesn't protect their young. And for some cannot even eat fish, and that's good as well. But for the most part, as a rule, you can't eat fish, and you can't eat eggs that are not, at least, that have not gone to be starting to become the actual bird. So you can eat eggs as well with that. So thank you. Yeah, I see Viorca, yes. Yeah, you can eat eggs, yes. And that becomes each one's choice as well, because there's other factors. When you look at eggs, there's a lot of protein, and that is good. Um, because where you no longer eat meat and you don't need to eat meat, protein is still an important part of the diet, but you get it from other sources, and definitely eggs, broccoli, kale, um, kale with vitamin K and some other things, but broccoli, lots of protein in it, some other alkaline vegetables, natural peanut butter, has your 5 essential proteins, and so you get everything you need. But you also need to realize um, as well that your physical anatomy, your body is changing. So what orthodox medicine perhaps said, oh, you need 7 proteins from the meat, that no longer applies, because your entire vessel has changed. All of your digestive acids are changing. You are not the same as a old orthodox human. You are undergoing great change, and this is why you're also incurring the Ascension symptoms inside, because there is a lot of things that are changing inside of your physical vessel. And you can do things to alleviate the symptoms, or you can do things to make them harder by like constantly putting chemicals into your body while your body is naturally trying to evolve. Then you create the conflict and you create the sickness for yourself, and you'll have many complaints. So each one is divinely prudent and responsible and disciplined for your own vessel. We would not even be teaching this about food if it was not important. It would not have come up in your awakening about how the foods were poisoned, the water was poisoned. If you were um, able to not be harmed by any of it, it would not be a topic of the awakening ones. It would not be part of Ascension. So it's that simple to let you know that it does have a very important place. So you don't, it is not an argument nor a debate with it. It just is. Thank you. I see Dorian V asking about Celtic salt. Let's say Celtic salt could have been and would have been the pure salt. It was good for certain applications. But again, Dorian, you, like many others, are not the same as what you were yesterday. For example, yesterday you could have drank alcohol and been fine with it, but today you cannot. So what this is showing is that there is changes, and there is changes within each one's diet and and everything related with that. So with the The Celtic salt, it doesn't matter. It's from the ocean, I believe, is, why they call it this. Sure, it's a good salt, and it would be all right, a cleaner salt for someone that's not undergoing and aware that they are in an ascension process. So what I say with your salts, limit them. And again, it's at each one's discretion. I can only say, and ones may not know it's real, and it may resonate with some and it may not with others, but um, it doesn't say that what I'm saying is not truth, but what occurs. Each needs to practice what I say so they confirm it for themselves, and that imprints the knowledge through the experience that it is correct. Then it embodies that knowledge. But also at the same time, what I say to ones, if you don't believe what I have said, do the opposite. But keep a log when you do the opposite, document what happens, and then when you do what I suggest, keep a log, compare the two later, and you will see the difference. I will also say that I have heard ones that say, I'm spiritually advanced, I eat meat, that it doesn't affect me. Well, with this, I say, how do you really know? For if you stopped eating meat, you could have been even more powerful and further enhanced with it. So really, you cannot make that truthful statement that by eating meat that it doesn't affect you, because the truth is, you don't know because you have not did the opposite to fully know it. And also, you might have, let's say, ate vegetables years ago and then began eating meat again. But you need to remember, every day and every minute we are coming into a higher vibrational timeline where things are constantly changing. And this is why we teach everyone to be in the now moment, to be versatile, to be flexible to change, and to allow a truth that you might have had to go instantly. Don't remain attached to these truths. And a prime example that truth is under constant change is when one was not awakened, and then abruptly they're awakened. Everything is turned upside down. Before they were awakened, they thought that was the true world. They were oblivious to the ascension, to the real truth of what was occurring in the world. So this is the prime example that truth changes, and you have to keep your mind open without drawing conclusions and restrictive thoughts on anything. You need to evaluate everything in the moment, and at your greatest ability, make your best, highest choices in everything and anything that you do. Thank you. Okay, I see Sir Hill says organic sulfur. No, no, no. Thank you for bringing this up. Do not add sulfur to your diet. Sulfur is very toxic, as well as chlorine. Both of those go together in this ascension. Your body is changing, and also copper I will put in this. And I did mention, I believe, copper is also, if you will, a part of a heavy metal like gold and silver. Don't be putting these things in your body. And sulfur is very toxic. So, and this is also one of the things when you're choosing um, body lotions, shampoo, uh, and all of these things. You wish to keep the phosphates, the sulfates, and the aluminum out of the mix. These are very toxic chemicals to the human vessel, and you don't wish to be putting that into the human vessel, and you don't wish to be putting it on you, because in your body you have let's say, billions of pores. They are entrance ways into inside of your body. They are where they work both ways. You sweat out through them. They secrete, let's say, the sweat, to keep it simple, but also they are two-way, that things can go in them and you can absorb through the skin, through the pores, toxic chlorine by having a shower in chlorinated water. So you don't wish to be putting these also on your body. And your pores become so important to your energetic field as well. So what you wish to do is to keep your pores as clean and as open without constantly putting layers of oil and what have you over it. Your pores also act as energetic receptors and transmitters, and this gets into a deeper topic that I would leave for, let's say, a month or so down the road when we get into more of the importance of it, but I will mention and introduce it here now. But basically, any of you that's been watching, when we anchor in the white light, what I have taught you, the process is also bringing energy in through every pore of your body when you're doing this. So it's the pores in your body are very important, and also because of the crystalline process has been changing all of the nerve endings in your body, they also interact with the pores of your body as being now more enhanced energetic receptors and transmitters. So it becomes even more important to be conscientious what you are putting on your body. If you're a feminine, use the natural coconut oil is great. Avocado oil, but keep it natural. You don't want to be putting on synthetic chemicals and lotions and makeup and none of that, because it is toxic and it's designed to do that. There's ill intent with toxic makeups in the least. Thank you. And, having said that, it may seem to some of you new, it may seem controversial what I'm saying. But again, what I'm putting out is the absolute choice, and it becomes your choice what you do with it. It doesn't matter to I if you agree or not. But what does matter is part of my role upon the planet is to raise as many as we can into your divine empowerment and into your higher vibration. And what I share and purvey to ones is the tools and the absolute truth on the way how to do it the quickest, most efficient, and even proficiently. So, looking here a little bit. With milk, thank you, Viorca. Milk and dairy products, this is, let's say, this is, with the individuals, it can vary distinctly between individual to individual. But as a rule with that, milk products, keep them as organic as possible. But also, dependent upon the individual, there may come a time that you will develop a lactose intolerance. And what this is your soul at that time telling you do not have milk products into your diet. And it'll begin to create allergic reactions, just to let you know in the beginning, okay, start to limit these milk products or what have you. And again, with that, if we go into the deeper reasoning with the milk products, you look at what it's intended for. When we go into the deeper metaphysics, you look at the intent. the energetic intent, what is in that milk. For example, if you have a cow that is giving milk, the actual intent of the cow is to provide milk for a calf, which is non-human. So you look at that intent and then you measure that, should you be having milk. So that's just touching the surface of an important consideration, at least. Question from Sivarajan. What is your thought about African ebony wood? Wearing it, they say it's very good. Let me say, in that area, I am not very knowledgeable, but what I am given is that yes, you are correct. That for ones that it resonates with, some African ebony wood. So there is something into, it's the smell of it that is the energy that does something, and it can be enhancing to ones. So I am given this information is coming from Father, if you will, because I did not know about it. So yes, the answer is, and that's interesting. Thank you. I'm going to make note of that, because where this come up, that means I may need to be also more informed about this, especially in this time. It could be another tool, for that I could share to assist others with as well. Because as we keep advancing forward, one's change and healing modalities and techniques and tools will come and go. However, this may have a place. So thank you for that. I'm taking note of it, and this is great. This is an example how where I love to say, and I said to all of you, you need to say that you know it all, so that you create that place where you do, where you're able to retrieve the knowledge. If it comes from you or another, it doesn't matter. It provides the end goal where you do know it all. And you have to create it in the moment, and rather someone asks you something, say, I don't know. As soon as you do that as a co-creator, you are creating the place where you don't know, and you never will. So the game is also designed to compile all of the knowledge together and to share it with all. So part of that process, there is I will say rarely, but it does occur that I need to be informed from some of you, some information that it's time to put in to the overall theme. And with that, I am not egotistic, and I'm not a fool, because I know how it does work. And so we do listen to ones that that you feel genuinely, okay, they got something, they're going to add, but also at the same time you could have a minion, that has an ill intent, and you follow that, where you don't even listen to it, because you already you can feel it. It's one of your divine guidance mechanisms to tell you who is genuine and who is not. So you can save yourself a lot of time with that. Great. Okay, I'm going to have another scroll here. Mylene asks, does that mean that cooking and drinking from copper vessels is not good then? Let me say that drinking from copper is all right if it's not heated. But once you begin to heat things, it depends on how many times. If you get a new copper pan, the first few times it's going to be giving off a lot of residue. But typically with more use, it will give off less and less. But for the minute amounts of copper, if you will, because copper is a little bit harder substance as well. meaning that it's flash point, not melting point, is higher than aluminum. Aluminum, no, not a great idea. Iron pans is still good. You know, you're getting a good source of iron. Also, when you cook from the iron pans, because it does oxidize and break down quicker. With copper pan, I leave that at each one's discretion. But if you feel and that if you're dubious about its use, then that may be a good sign, yes, to change it and go with a more, what you feel is a more uh, pure cooking utensil. Terry says zinc supplement. What I need to say is no. It's important also for ones to understand that zinc is also one of the supplements that you don't need. That zinc and iron, again, you get the right amount from your diets. That you don't need to take all of these supplements unless in rare cases um, you are divinely guided unmistakably that you need it. But what I suggest, no, you don't readily need a lot of supplements. Sometimes you may need a little bit, but don't make a practice of it, is what I say. Alright, so this is a great question. Dorian says, do you have any idea what women should do to when hitting menopause to remain sane and positive? She says she is struggling with having to take hormones. So many women suffer and prescribe antidepressants, which is horrible, of course. Yeah. What I suggest, don't take the hormones, don't take any medication, because what you begin to do is you begin to create complications that amplify and proliferate as you go forward. Because what you're doing then, you are giving away your body's power depending on a drug or what have you, and you are putting all of your faith in that drug to fix you, and by doing that you are negating your own prowess and you are disempowering yourself. Let me say with the feminine hormones, it is an important part, not only feminine, the masculine, to take mastery over these hormones, over these feelings as well. And the best place is solitude, perhaps, if it's very intense. I believe Dorian, what's your name? If it's very intense, solitude, and stick with mastering what you're feeling. And also, to assist with this, is go within yourself, even when you're not on that. When you're not having an intense menopause attack, if you will, those are the times to go in to begin getting rid of the fear. Because with that, when you get rid of the fear within, the hormones are no longer controlling you to be negative. So you are being positive with your mastery of the hormones, and then what happens is you're not triggered by the outside. So again, it's important to do this inner work of mastery at not letting something outside control you into being negative. And it begins up here being positive, so you get it embodied as well. And of course, with this subject, I could go a lot deeper into it, but we're just skimming the surface of many things with this. And I did not feel at this time to go into detail, but you do bring up a very important subject But the best thing you can do, keep everything natural, natural with your remedies. Like stinging nettle. These are good sedatives, which does affect that. Horsehair. Um, there's lots of medicinal plants, pine needles, tea. There's a lot of these good uh, natural remedies to be doing that. Don't go antidepressant and was it Prozac or whatever they call it. No, none of those. Those are very detrimental to your health, and it begins to rob you of your energy. And when you get robbed of energy, it lowers the consciousness that you can't think straight, and it will put your consciousness at looking for more medication. So it's like a brainwashing that occurs with it, that it prevents you from seeing the higher things. So this is also important why you need to purify your body. Don't be putting drugs and chemicals in it. So yeah, so you'll keep sane and you'll keep positive. Change your diet too, Dorian, as well. Keep it as high vegetable. The more raw vegetables that you eat rather than cooked vegetables, the better it is as well to assist in that. Uh, Yana asks, what a mess outside, flat and globe earth. What is the truth? The truth of this is it doesn't matter. So don't get involved in it and don't waste time. And if you see someone, just say, what does that matter? It doesn't. And just keep your focus on going forward. And in the future, everyone will know the truth. But right at this time, there's more priorities than worrying about the shape of the earth. It's actually childish and ridiculous to engage in any kind of a debate with that. Yeah, okay, Mylene. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't get copper pots. That's good. Um, Sea moss is good for hormones. Mylene says yes. Thank you with that. Agreed. Concur. Yeah, keep your plant-based remedies, and thank you, Divine Feminine, for also sharing what works for you with Dorian as well. And this is beautiful, all combining together other remedies I've not even heard of, if you will, and contribute to everyone to assist. And it's beautiful to see this. Black seed oil, Mylene says, is good, works great for her. Yeah, pass that on, and you know, each one can try, and they'll find what works for them. Alright, just looking here. Looking. Okay, we got all those questions asked, answered. Any more, just put them in the comments section. Uh, Another thing I need to speak about, and it's come up, and thank you for the bots, the artificial intelligence on this feed trying to promote. Um, uh, they're putting, like, let's say, Telegram trader platform and crypto groups, but actually this is not what's occurring, that they are trying to spam I. What is actually occurring is a very important information. So when these ones come on, sharing these groups that goes to trading in crypto, it's actually artificially AI generated. These are platforms where there is not even any human ones there, and it's part of the darkness at luring and enticing ones. And when you look at the overall financial markets, they are just computer run, if you will. So it's showing the AI generated false financial system, and with crypto and blockchain, all of these things as well. So, and it's showing you that they're bots. You know, one of the fun things you'll have if you go and entertain with them, their consciousness level is a scripted consciousness that you can ask them questions and you'll get them to a point that they start just repeating themselves because they're all AI generated and they only have a certain amount of responses in there. So you can ask them, you know, a question and very quickly it shows you that they're just generated AI generated platforms and that they're bots. And one thing I said, like when you look at the Toronto Stock Exchange in Canada, I was in there. All that is a couple computers, you know, that is operating a program when you go right inside of the building, and it's all a artificial generated program. So, but it's funny and it's good. Oh, and also with this, you know, this they have provided a very good uh, teaching example. What I just did, and what I also say, once you get tired of it on my post, as you become informed, share what I shared with you as well. It's just the artificial intelligence that is deteriorating because it's coming up, because it gives me the divine opportunity to share with all of you that all of the trading platforms is just a generated program, and that actually there is not really any amount of real people there. It's all a Ponzi scheme, if you will, and the only real people that you will find are ones that were lured and enticed in there under false premises to relieve them of their funds. And the overall the overall intent and agenda of it is to just to do that, um, to rob each one of their funds. So they'll fabricate stories which is actually you know, against supposed securities law, but nothing gets done because it is part of the securities itself. It's all a program. So it's but it's great. Thank you for coming on and allowing me once again to share this information and expand on it too. So, having said that, any more questions on anything I've said so far or anything we discussed? So, just to recap, you know, again, what I had said. Just look at, yeah. So, what I had said is, you know, since the 17th, we are definitely in a different space. And with that, it's a place not to move very fast, observe what's around you, um, feel the new sensations as well. And also, what you may come to find is that your certain senses, if not all, have been heightened to some degree, and also as a result, dependent upon the individual and their purity, you have activated other gifts as well, psychic abilities, the parapsychological gifts. Telepathy is, you know, most common, and of course, your empathic abilities, which is your ability to feel energy and to gauge it. Is the polarity, is it positive, is it negative, and also more of that. It's important to begin to use your hands more in your consciousness with projecting energy as well. Become more familiar with what you would call extraordinary gifts. The more that you play with them and even utilize them, the more you develop them and make them stronger. So it's those things as well. What I can say, it's very real. It's not fiction. It is the reality, and I know those of you that are up there that have had the experiences that confirm it can fully attest to what I'm saying as well. What I need to add is we got an increased, once again, uh, galactic, if you will, galactic, what's the word? An increase in galactic activity as well. Just before I come in here to do this show, we're in Romania, it's nighttime here, and I watched what was 3 ships in a line, but then they changed to a smiley face, and then they went into a triangular, uh, actually the feminine triangular formation, right in an important area of the sky here. So it's and very bright. So bright stars, but they're not. They're ships. They're not satellites. They're not planes. And there are Merkava ships that flash the different colors for the ones that have eyes to see. So that activity also has increased in the last few days once again, and of course the confirmations are coming from the skies, on the land, even with interactions with others and in the individual experiences too. Okay, so Dorian, thank you. We got another question. She says, how come parents suddenly turn against their own child? This is for very important reasons. Let's look at this. When this occurs, everything what's occurring with every one of you, you need to look at it from a divine perspective, meaning that you are ascending, and anything and everything that happens with you is for value. It's for to take you upward. So, for example, if you say your parents turn against your child, this is a necessary time for the child to be separated from that energetic influence from the parents. The parents may be staying behind on a lower timeline or part of another reality, and the child may be advancing forward into higher timelines. So it's divinely assured is one reason why this occurs. And also, you need to look at it's also possible because so many funny things occurred, that one's parents might not even be their parents at all. Many were, let's say, switched at birth, which is very real, and let's say a lot of funky stuff occurred. So it doesn't matter what occurred. What is important to know that everything that happens to you is for your benefit and value as we go forward. And you don't need to complicate and stress things by trying to find the answers, because that will distract you and waste time. Remain in trust and know that the answers are ahead in the future, and that as you need them, that information will come. And it saves you a lot of time, and it empowers you by having that much trust. And the other part of your question says they are not awake and how best to deal with these very unusual changes in their behavior. Again, you look at it as signs. If they're rejecting you or rejecting the child, if you will, depending on, of course, on how old the child is, it does may have a different good meaning. But basically, with this, again, it's divinely assured that that separation must occur, and it could be for a variety of reasons. And you know what so many have seen in your families, you may be awake and the rest of the family not. Well, and you might have tried your earnest and your best to awaken them, but you saw there was no effect. It actually created more and more rejection. And the reason why, because you're not supposed to be doing that. Their soul needs to be asleep, at least for now. And if you go and interfere trying to awaken them, their soul's mechanism will come up and reject you. So don't waste time and energy on that. Just know what is actually occurring, and if they are supposed to awake soon, they will. And trust that. And you need to just keep your focus on what is happening with you. Don't try to control things outside. Because if you try to control and you have an expectation, that comes from a place of fear, which is the lack of trust that you're doing everything in the now moment and that you're part of the divine plan and you're sailing along with it, because the divine plan is orchestrated by the omnipotent prime creator, which is, you could say, the supreme ruler. It's not you, as you know. For if it was you, the prime creator, you would not even be in this reality. So simply it tells you that there is a higher regulator that determines what's going on with you. And you will navigate this much better when you don't try to control and don't expect things and accept that it is and just keep doing your best with it. Amanda asks, Merkaba ships, who do they belong to? Merkaba ships are actually the light, are ours. When you look at what Merkaba is a light body. It's a pure, um, let's say, it's an identity of your light body construct. But there's also external Merkaba ships that are here at this time that supply certain energetics and instructions and commands to ones that are upon the planet to assist with them with their Merkaba at alignment with your chakras, and and much more. So these Merkaba ships play a very distinct, I shouldn't say distinct because it does vary, but they play a very important role, and they are us, they are of the light in the least. Without going too much into detail with that. And I thank you, Amanda, because I love this too. What's coming up here tonight with, as you're seeing with several of the questions, is also setting the precedent, the introductory to more of the deeper teachings that I will go into in the future. So I thank you as well for that, and it's being divinely orchestrated and set up with that, to that extent. I just got to scroll back here to see where we were at. Yeah. Carolyn, yeah, have a great birthday lunch. And Yana or Jaina says, will they ever land on Earth and allow to see them? Let's say the ships will be landing on Earth and it'll be publicly known, and that should not be very, very far in the future at this stage. But also, yeah, things are happening so rapidly, so there's many great, beautiful surprises here in the very near future, and keep in alignment with that. More and more every day are seeing ships and new ships, and the Merkaba ships, if you will, yeah, they can also be on the planet. When you get into ships, you need to know that that there is really for us no dimensional time and space, meaning that we can be miniature and we can also be big as well. And I need to say this because you could have, let's say, a Merkaba ship as big as the planet can defy time and space and put itself down to be as big as your fingernail and or your fingertip and be right in front of your face as well. So these, for now, they are satellite spaced, if you will, but they are not satellites. They are divine constructs, Merkaba ships, and here for very important reasons, in the least. And Amanda says she has 6 surrounding her home every night. Yes, it's beautiful. Sometimes when there's a huge mother energy activated and present, you will get 12 to 13 if you look all around the perimeter, just about 30 degrees above the horizon. Beatrice Elena says, England state took her second child about a year ago. Court decision soon. Yeah, we are in this time that really the court has no jurisdiction, and neither does child services or any of this. They're acting unlawful, and they have, again, no authority over the individual. However, this is all breaking down with the artificial laws at this time. So, yeah, it's unlawful what they did, but we're keeping on the higher timeline where it is, we're with God's law where none of that occurs, if you will. It's the do no harm scenario and do what is reasonably and morally correct, which is not taking children from their mother and father. And no, so we're in the great times of change, and that doesn't occur at all on this higher timeline. There is no authority that can do that other than God, if you will. And God does not do that. God doesn't like separation. We are unity. And great. Mary Bannon, yeah, there's many ships in the night skies. Yeah, indeed. So, just looking here again. Shanman James says, we claim the land, legalize BS, no false power. Not sure what you're saying there, brother. If you wish to elaborate, be more succinct or more clear on what you're saying, I could possibly elaborate a bit on that. So what we're going to be doing going into the next 2 months, or already begun, is again, I'm going to be stepping you up by informing you on different levels, different steps as we go forward. My intentions is to be as fully and all inclusive as I can. So I purvey and share every bit of information. The more knowledge you have at your disposal, if you will, the quicker you empower yourself and enhance yourself. And indeed, knowledge is power, and that holds true in this ascension. Yeah. So, yes, Claire, miracles and magic are very real, and in the old thing, you gotta believe in it as well. If you don't believe in magic, you usually won't see it or will not experience it. So, having said that, update. What's occurring is energetically, as I said, perhaps different sensations I know is occurring because we are entering an all new higher vibratory space and frequency. This began since October 17th. There was, let's say, a flash at least that it changed reality. So there's been a paradigm shift at least, and for everything that entails, I don't have all that information, but what I do know is that there are new experiences, especially with the energy, different sensations, um, different experiences externally with seeing more ships and what have you. And I will not limit the experiences in what can occur. Um, so that is all opened up another great door. What I can say is that God is real and that Christ is very important, and at least keep in alignment with the Christ consciousness and all of the good things, the virtuous things that propel, if not catapult you forward, being aligned with virtue and teachings, and be able to discern what doesn't resonate and what does. And let that to guide you as well. So, having said that, we've been an hour and 17 minutes, and that's been good. So, I'm going to keep this short. Thank you for your wonderful questions and your sharings as well, what you shared to assist others on here. That's so important as a community. And with that, much gratitude to all of you. And love, light, and gratitude and peace. And I've got to have that wink because that is so real and it says so much as well. So with that, have a beautiful dawn, day, night, wherever you may be. Thank you.